Hey guys, it's Dan from Tour Overland, and today I want to be talking about the tools we use and specifically knives. So why do I want to talk about knives? Well, we use them all the time, whether it's for cooking, for crafting, for fixing things, for opening up boxes, whatever that might be. And recently I've had my own handmade, handcrafted knife, which is absolutely a thing of beauty. And I just wanted to show that. And also I've been fortunate enough to be speaking with the master craftsman Honza, who's based over in the Czech Republic. And he's kindly put together some footage of the process he goes through with making one of his knives as well. And I just find it fascinating. So that's something sort of a little later in this video. You'll see how he goes through, what the process is. And if you're into a bit of ASMR as well, some pretty relaxing sounds too. So what is it about the knife which I want to be talking about and what makes them so interesting? Well, for me, I think it comes down to a few things, from the simplicity of a knife and just a simple blade. You know, particularly over something, I've got here one of these sort of multi-purpose tools. You get Leatherman, they're sort of the best known ones, and this is a Gerber one, which is pretty decent as well. They're good, very useful and versatile, but then they haven't got that, I don't know, that emotional side to it, that emotional attachment which we can get with just a simple, well-made knife. And I think it does hark back to those times, those simpler times, the Iron Age times, when we learnt as a species how to forge and create these types of tools. And it helped augment what we could do and allowed us to go and do all manner of things, which has been fantastic for us. And I think that's something which, particularly in the advent of what we are in modern technology, you know, sort of the age that we live in, there's something really nice about going back to that more elemental side of things. And that's where fire, crafting, knives, woodwork, being out in nature, all of those things tie in. And those are also things which AI and technology can never replicate. So my particular knife has been made by a guy called Honza, who's based in the Czech Republic, and he goes under the name of S Knives. And it's quite something. It's when we were in Czech Republic a few weeks ago, we were fortunate enough to stop by and stay over with him. I'd also add he is sort of a distant family connection through my wife's side. And it was fascinating to see how he worked, what he did with his little mini forge, which is in one of his workshops in the garden, and just talking through that process and how he's got into that and sort of learning off the elders who work with that type of thing in his area. And it's just fascinating. So let's have a look. So this is the knife here. So he's created all of this. So from the leather sheath all the way to the wooden handle and to the blade itself. And as you can see here, I mean, this is a nice chunky beast here, but some of the detailing is just quite incredible. And also throughout this whole process, he asked what I wanted in terms of the sort of the silhouette of the knife edge here, also the type of wood that I wanted to be used on the handle, in which with this one I've gone for a red wood, so I think it's a cherry wood. And also just here, it's used, or he uses a particular technique where you create what's called a hamon line. And this harks back to some of the knives and swords made over in Japan, so those samurai swords and that type of thing. And I think through that process, not only does visually it look really quite stunning, it also means that you have a hardened edge, which is fantastic for keeping that blade nice and sharp, but also it means the rest of the body of a knife is just that bit softer, which again just makes it more durable. Because I mean, let's be real here, like metal isn't particularly soft. But I think if the whole thing was hardened in the same way as the blade edge would be, then it could make the knife quite brittle, which obviously you don't want that when you're using it. You're bashing it around and then suddenly it snaps. That would not be cool. But no, just quite an incredible thing. I mean, I think I'd be really interested to know from you guys who watch, I mean, what type of things do you have? Do you have some knives that you're particularly fond of? Have you even tried trying to make your own knife? That type of thing. Just be interested to hear. It's just one of those things. I know it's a bit more of a blokey thing to be into, but it's just an absolute thing of beauty. I'll let it roll on to the video which I've put together. of his whole process. There's some captions which outline some of what he's going through at that particular time. I found it really fascinating, and it's just one of those things, just watching someone who is a master craftsman with what they're doing. There's just something really beautiful about that. So I'll let you watch that, and if you do enjoy this, please remember to like and subscribe, because it really does make a big difference for me in terms of the content that I'm trying to create, which is basically all the types of thing which I just love doing. So I really want to carry on with that. Anyway, cheers guys.